much, Heidi. Pleased to be here with all of you. So good morning as well from my side. We are focusing on our quarterly report for Q3 and key highlights to the presentation here. As you noticed, we have here today our Head of Communication, Heidi Wold, as well. So welcome, Heidi. And then get started with our presentation and the background or introduction, actually. In terms of the total value for the society related with biomethane and biomethane industry, I would like to flag here for especially two important dimensions. One is related with the raw materials which we are using. In a very, very large part, our industry is using residues from agricultural sector and especially manure. And that is also the growth strategy of ours. We will focus on leveraging and using manure from agricultural sector. This means that we are capturing a material substantial methane emission, which is happening in the agricultural sector, helping them to expand their business and especially to do a green transition for the agricultural sector as well. So that's one of the very important building blocks for our industry. On the other hand, one very important building block is the use of the biomethane. One of the key segments for us is the liquid biogas based transportation. I mean vehicles, heavy-duty vehicles using liquid methane, and in our case, liquid biogas. These will then help the heavy-duty vehicle segment to transform their use of fossil energies into green energies. So when combining these two building blocks, we see a material benefit for the society. And thirdly, of course, we as industry, we are creating new jobs in Europe as we go towards the long-term targets. So this is perhaps in a nutshell the overall view in terms of some of the key building blocks and the key benefits for the society. If we take some facts related to our market, EU Commission initiated this Repower EU earlier last year as part of the Ukrainian war. Or after that, and as part of that, the ambition for biomethane was increased to 350 terawatt hours in 2030, which is something which is very exciting as a target, and is also enhancing Europe's independency for energy. So it is quite clear for our industry that for the forthcoming years, the overall supply is not able to fulfill all the demand side. And that is, of course, a positive element for developing the industry overall. And as I flagged for, the heavy-duty vehicle segment has had already some challenges in their transformation to green energies. And based on latest analysis, around 2% of the vehicles which we have in Europe, which are heavy-duty vehicles, they stand for 1/3 of the total CO2 emissions of the vehicle fleet we have. So it's quite evident that when you attract and find a solution which is relevant for this segment, you can do also a major benefit for the transportation sector's green transition. That is something which we want to address especially. And why we are able to do a substantial change there. This slide is showing us how the overall life cycle analysis, what is the impact with life cycle analysis of different energies per driven distance, kilometers for heavy-duty vehicles. And as you can see, both diesel and LNG as well, they are quite close. LNG as such already offering some benefits in terms of CO2 emissions, but especially also with particles. But then when we go to biomethane, and we have here combined two products, we have the LBG, the pure biomethane-based liquid biogas, and then next to right is the combined version where we have 60% LNG and 40% LBG. And in these both cases, we see a material benefit already, and especially would like to flag for the LBG case, where given the benefit we can assure when using manure and other residues from agricultural sector, it is already or actually a carbon capturing event when you are using biomethane as an energy carrier. And even when comparing to hydrogen, we see that we are very, very competitive in that comparison. So this is one of the key drivers why we see that biomethane is very well positioned to tackle, to help, to support the green transition in the heavy-duty vehicles segment, and to avoid 1/3 of the CO2 emissions in Europe from transport sector. And then we go to our own report. What was very positive is that we have seen a increased sales in Sweden, both in terms of volumes and pricing, and systematic focus on our growth. As we have already earlier communicated, there is a certain kind of transition process ongoing related how the biomethane is say sold, what is the say business structure with our partners and distributors. We see that during the second half we will have around 30% of our volumes will be sold based on new agreements with new kind of say terms and better pricing. Next year we assume ourselves to be on a level roughly 50% to be sold with new agreements. And this is important, as we have mentioned earlier on. 2022, our average sale price was on a level of 900 crowns per megawatt hour, and we see that in the Scandinavian market we are able with the new agreements to get and receive a premium on a 50 to 100%, and especially if using manure in Germany even higher prices than that. And this process is going forward, and as I mentioned, we see concrete benefits in our sales in the Swedish market, and to some extent even in Norway. Key highlights for the quarter. Total energy sold was increased from 80 to around 87 gigawatt hours, and especially in Sweden the increase was 17%. Stable production in Korea, and due to some challenges we had in Norway in September, the supplies and production have been lower than expectation, which has been now improved in this quarter, and looking forward in a better way for Norway. Total revenue was on a level of 131 million crowns, which is 30% higher than the year before, and especially in Sweden the net sales were 39% higher than year before, implying that we had higher prices in all of our segments. Besides of the higher net sales, we also had around 10 million Swedish crowns more production subsidy compared year before. Operating EBITDA margin was lower than year before on a level of a bit less than 9%, and the difference is mainly due to significantly increased costs, COGS, operative costs, some of them as we were planning and expecting, and some of them higher than what we had planned for. We see that the higher cost levels to some extent will continue, and we hope to be able to get the compensation on the pricing side and volume side. So these are the key highlights. Yeah, and of course due to the strategic intention to grow 2026, 2030, we have recruited additional personnel, and of course that will create also some costs, additional costs to us. And as a graphical illustration, you see here our total revenue and net sales for the last years. And on right-hand side, we have our EBITDA margin. Our target is 30% margin, and we definitely are not at all happy with the Q3 result, around 7%. It's substantially lower than what we would like to have. Work is continuing systematically in order to go towards the 30% EBITDA margin target. Cash flow. The operating cash flow was more or less on the same level as last year, around 7 million Swedish crowns. Investment activity was high, both finalizing the project in Sweden, bio-LNG facility in Södertörn, as well the ongoing project in Mönsterås. So the gross investments were on a level a bit less than 130 million crowns. Total investment grants received were on a level of 87 million, and then we also sold part of our short-term investments in our bond portfolio, and the overall impact on the net cash was, or the level of net cash was on a bit more than 200 million SEK. Net debt. Interest-bearing liabilities on a level of a bit more than 900, and net debt on a bit more than 600, around 620 million Swedish crowns, and the total available cash in the range of 650 million crowns, including the RCF, which we have not yet started to use. So these were the key operational highlights in terms of the growth plan and outlook. The pipeline summarized here. Key event was the commissioning of the bio-LNG facility in Stockholm, Södertörn. In practice now from September, mid-September onwards, all locally produced biogas in Södertörn is converted into liquid biogas, meaning a higher flexibility, easier to transport the energy to our customers, and higher income compared to earlier on. Mönsterås project is progressing well. The installation is according to plan. And then related to the growth, other growth opportunities, we are progressing as we have expected overall, with the same principles which we have already confirmed and published earlier on. Key targets, long-term targets, are the same as earlier confirmed: 3 TWh 2030, 1.2 TWh capacity by the end of 2026, and then total revenue on level 650 next year, and operating margin to be at least on a level of 30%. However, already at this point of time, which I'm going to come back later on with the outlook, we see challenges achieving this long-term target operative EBITDA at 30% next year. And then we have our sustainability targets, which are related to the total CO2 emissions, aiming to reach 170,000 ton reduction by 2024, and to have zero workplace injuries leading to any sick leave. In terms of how do we achieve our operating target, key driver in the profitability improvement is capacity increase or volume increase. So next year we expect our total volumes to be 20% on a higher level than 2022, and especially the pricing will boost the profitability. And the assumption is the same as earlier on, around 40% of the sales price increase or volumes will be based on the new agreements. So the third point is the most important one. When we have achieved and commissioned both bio-LNG in Stockholm as well as the Mönsterås project, and have received as a reasonable utilization level, we will be able to show net profit for the group. Uncertainties which we have are related to the market prices, especially for those volumes which will be exported. We see that nowadays, especially in Germany, the certificate market has been quite volatile. So that is something which impacts the longer profitability. And then also changes in the local and regional support schemes and regulation is something which is a bit sometimes positive and sometimes can be a bit negative. A certain focus area for us is to assure that the COGS per megawatt hour are not increasing anymore. Rather, we have that under control. It's operational focus area. Going forward, important to flag here is that we focus on continuous improvements, which are very important for our all business units. And we have initiated concrete projects to be aligned with those targets and enhance profitability. So we could feel comfortable with the 2024 production capacity and revenue goals. But as already mentioned, the 30% operative EBITDA margin, it remains firm, but challenges to reach that 2024. And then, of course, the new projects we are expecting they are expected to enhance our profitability overall when taking company forward. So overall, as already earlier communicated, the outlook for 2023 we see to be somewhat weak. And given the challenges with our agreements, old agreements, the indexation in these agreements means that we are not able to put all costs which we have had towards our customers for this year, but there's a substantial improvement for next year. So I think that this was the key points in my presentation, and now we are open for questions. Yes, Adrian, please.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Hi, it's Adrian here at ABG. First of all, apologies if you mentioned this in the presentation, but the technical issues in Norway, were they fixed in Q4, or are they going to be fixed now for Q4?
Yeah, the issue which we had in Norway is actually not technical issue, it's more biological issue. And it's something which can happen now and then. It's under control, and it's improving as we speak, and will be managed according to previous experiences during this quarter.
Okay, but it sounds like there's still going to be some elevated costs due to this, even in Q4 as well.
To some extent, yes, for especially for this month.
Okay. Can you, I guess, quantify how much these issues added to the costs in Q3 and what the delta is going to be into Q4 then?
I think we are perhaps not that specific in our cost estimates publicly, but I think the key point here is to drive towards the 150 gigawatt hours capacity utilization on annual level, and that is the key target which we have with our team locally. It will take some time before we are there. I would say that we are somewhere, say during H1 next year when we are able to be on that level.
Okay. And I guess looking ahead also at the next quarter, you did say that 2023 is going to be weak profitability, like you've said before, but you've also talked more positively about Q4 specifically. You've said that this is sort of where we're really going to start seeing LBG volumes ramp up, and that this should have a positive impact on earnings. So I guess, can you give us an update on that now that we're 1 month into the quarter? Have you started selling a lot more liquefied biogas now?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the liquefaction unit was commissioned during Q3, and already around mid-September onwards, the biogas produced in Södertörn is all volumes are liquefied. So we see already some of the benefit during Q3, but especially we will see the benefit now during Q4 for those volumes which have been liquefied and sold to customers with higher prices. So yes, that is the situation.
Okay, so before you've sort of given us indications of liquefied biogas prices, now that you're selling sort of larger quantities, can you tell us what the actual realized prices are? Are they in line with the indications that you've given before?
They are aligned.
Okay. Also, I guess on the 30% margin target, you said that there are challenges to reach this target. I guess what has changed in the outlook between last quarter when you didn't mention these challenges, and why not change the target to one that you think you can reach?
Actually, this challenge text was already included in July version in Q2 report. So this is the same definition as was included already then. So it's not the new one. We are considering how to address 2024 targets or outlook. Probably we only need to consider how to address that when we release Q4. And potentially then also see how we will see the long-term targets as well. But at this point of time, we keep the targets, long-term targets, as they have been, as well as the guidance for this year.
Okay, and then finally, more of a detailed question from me. I noticed the investment grant payout at 87 million in the cash flow. Can you just give us a reminder on how much you have in outstanding investment grants that are yet to be paid? That are confirmed, so to say.
The main projects where we have investment grants we have had them access to them in as of payments. We have received the final payment in Norway for Skogn 2. So in Norway we are not expecting any additional payments. And then in Mönsterås, we are still working with the project, so we have not received the full payment, which the total is in the range of a bit more than 150 million Swedish crowns. I don't have the exact figure available here, but I would say that we are somewhere in the halfway, a bit more than halfway.
Yeah.
What we have received.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, perfect. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. Additional questions?
Yeah, Samuel Wilhelmsson from Nordea Markets here. Thanks for the good presentation. I had a few questions. First, on the new agreements. First of all, are you able to or willing to disclose that you were saying that during the second half, 30% of the agreements are in the new prices? How much of that was already during this quarter?
How you mean you are asking what is the share of those volumes for Q3?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that this figure, what we have published, the 30% for H2, is of course for the 6 months period, and given the fact that we are now ramping up the volumes or have ramped up the volumes with LBG with new prices, so relatively seen. It's quite natural that the share is higher for Q4 and it's lower for Q3. And if you do an arithmetic calculation between those two, it's probably quite close to the actual.
Yeah, yes, sure, fair enough. Then about those agreements, for example, you flagged increased staff costs, which is understandable in the current environment. But like these new price agreements, are those already something that the price has already been fixed, or is there any room or flexibility given that the cost inflation has been stabilized now going forward?
Yeah, going forward in the new, I mean, we have traditionally the agreements have been based on fixed prices with an annual index, and that is what we call as the old agreements. The new agreements, there we have a bit different variations depending on which market we are talking about. The Scandinavian market, the prices are typically 50 to 100% higher than what we have seen in here earlier on, including the production subsidy as well. Prices are to some extent linked to market prices, but not fully. So the dynamics with the prices is more dynamic than it has been historically, but not fully linked to market prices. But then if we take the export market, which I was also referring to, German market, there the prices are much closer linked to prevailing market prices, both in terms of the TTF as well as the certificate market in the German transportation sector. So in that market, the dynamics is higher than in Scandinavia. However, in our agreements, there is a floor which is higher than what we have seen the prices to be in Scandinavia.
All right, thanks. Appreciate the details. Then final question from me. You also mentioned in the Q3 report increased energy costs, and but by looking at the electricity and natural gas prices, for example, what kind of energy costs are you referring, and where these actually stem from?
It's mainly related to power, and we buy power both on the spot, but we also have a part of the power hedged. And from today's perspective, say for Q3, the part which was hedged, for that part we had a somewhat higher cost than what was the spot market prices. So it's a combination of those for our production, and then also the biogas which we buy in Henriksdal and Bromma in cooperation with Stockholm Water. There we see for the full year a certain price increase due to the indexation.
All right, so it's mostly indexation purpose. All right, thanks. No further questions from me.
Okay, thank you. Some other questions, comments? Okay, looks like that there are no additional questions. Thank you very much participating our Q3 presentation, and we wish you a very good day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.